my stuff in my office except for my stuff for the meeting.
All right,
Forgot your llama.
Next, go ahead.
this is November meeting for the Board of Education. Business meeting starting right now. And first item on the agenda is the President's Report. Board member attendance, everyone is in attendance. We have one member by Zoom. And the next board meeting is December 9th. So the next item is reading of DPI proclamation and recognition of national principles.
Would you like somebody else to read that?
Yeah, maybe a better.
Okay, that's, give me a moment. You don't have to have a copy.
Yep, I've got it. Yep. You got, oh, I've got it right here.
Okay.
Faster probably going
Would you like
here.
a board member to read that, or would you like me to read it? Leo, do you have it up?
He's got it up.
Leo's got it up, okay.
Okay, Leo.
All right. Let's get back to the top. A proclamation, Office of the Governor, whereas school leadership and classroom instruction are vital factors that contribute to the success of Wisconsin students. And whereas school principals handle a wide range of responsibilities that include managing budgets, ensuring the smooth operation of school programs and facilities, and creating a positive school climate that is inviting and inclusive to students, families, and the community. And whereas school principals are on the front lines of ensuring all students feel safe and supported at school, and are instrumental partners in our state's efforts to build an educational system that works for all students, regardless of their age, identity, income level, ability status, or zip code. And whereas, as instructional leaders, school principals work collaboratively with educators to maintain high standards for teaching and learning, set performance goals that drive continuous improvement, and support and guide educators and staff in their work. And whereas, in the face of unique and unprecedented challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, we commend school principals across our state for their flexibility, resilience, and unwavering commitment to ensuring that every kid in Wisconsin has access to a high-quality education no matter how it is delivered. And whereas this month, the state of Wisconsin joins all Wisconsinites in recognizing and honoring the school principals and assistant principals across our state who work to actualize the potential of all of Wisconsin's learners and ensure student readiness for higher education, future jobs and careers, and responsible citizenship. Now, therefore, I, Tony Evers, Governor of the state of Wisconsin, hereby proclaim October 2020 as National Principals Month throughout the state of Wisconsin, and I commend this observance to all of our state's residents.
Thank you, Leo. I'd like to commend our principals as well, doing a great job. Thank you.
Amen.
All right, administrative reports. Report on district COVID-19 status and maintenance projects for 2020-2021.
So, just on currently what's happening with COVID within the district. As of today, Port Edwards Ed Hoyer Elementary have no active COVID-19 cases, at least as of 3:30 this afternoon. And please keep in mind that can change at any time. In John Edwards Middle School, High School, through the months of September and until October 30th, we'd only had 2 cases of COVID-19. However, since Halloween Day, we've seen a dramatic increase at the middle/high school. Since Halloween, we've had 8 new confirmed positives between students and staff. And we do have another staff member awaiting results on the test as well. So that in a 10-day period, with those 8 confirmed, and again, 1 more waiting, that quadrupled, so in 10 days, we quadrupled the rate of the previous 2 months. Now, just to clarify the way this all works with the health department and whatnot, as of today, of the 8 cases we've had in the last 10 days, two of those cases have actually dropped off of the monitoring list. So really in terms of actives, we're now up to 6 actives. And again, 1 awaiting testing. And those just dropped off. As of Monday, we had 5 middle and high school teaching staff and an aide not able to report in person, and 1 elementary staff member. And we also had a substitute aide not able to report. At least anecdotally, most of these cases, from what we've been able to discern in discussions with the health department, have been brought into the district, meaning they've come from the outside in. That may not hold true exactly for all of the cases, but the majority. For a multitude of reasons, it could be it's a parent issue, parent has COVID, or there was some other connection, or it's a school quarantine issue. As of today, in the middle school, high school, we had 75 students in quarantine. Now, with some discussion, the biggest chunk of that has been in our 6th grade. Our other positives within the high school, so if you go back into September where we had a positive case and we had to quarantine 25 students, the last couple of positives within the high school, we're quarantining 6 or 7 students. So people within the system have gotten better at social distancing and making sure those things are happening in reality. 6th grade was a little different story, and that really had to do with we had multiple potential cases going on, and it just how that all went down because we had multiple potential cases. And we actually do have 3 cases within the 6th grade group. It just made sense that we needed to take a different action with that group. Quite simply, after Halloween weekend, it was like light switch got flipped and something changed. We certainly have been working with the health department on their advice. We moved the middle school, high school into virtual. Mrs. Schroeder, I'm going to let talk about how that's gone through at least Thanksgiving break, and I'll say at least. I would love to come back after Thanksgiving break. We're going to monitor this. We're going to see what the health department's telling us at that time. We'll certainly be looking at it next week, and hopefully this has stepped on the brakes in a way that we can get back to things in person quickly. But again, I've put out nothing is certain in this crisis. Part of when we look at where we were last week, we were starting to strain the ability to document and track all of those cases, especially toward the end of the week. So that was really what drove a lot of that decision making between the number of cases we're seeing and then our ability to effectively deal with it was really starting to strain. Today in the elementary school, we do have 11 quarantine students, and again, I mentioned that we have a staff member as well. So that is our status on that. Donna's going to talk to you in a little bit about the switch to virtual. The other piece I wanted to talk to you about was facility maintenance items that we're going to try to accomplish yet this year and what we have accomplished. Mr. Hildebrandt, I texted you a picture of this.
Yeah.
So things that we have accomplished this year. We got the roof done on the tech ed and music area. The middle school steps outside. I'm going to say we're 95% complete there. We're waiting on our railing. Actually, the railing is in and built. I believe it needed to get coated. The ionizers for the ventilation system, 95% complete. We just have a few of those to install yet. We are working on a security and alarm upgrade. One thing we realized, we do not have any alarms on our sump pumps at the high school. And if we lose sump pumps at the high school, we lose boilers. And we cannot afford to lose boilers. So we've alarmed our sump pumps. And so a few of those upgrades going on. We have converted district-wide sinks and toilets to auto flushing and auto sinks. So that I would say is 99% complete. And we've got some tree trimming and cutting going on that is mid-process. So those are things we've accomplished to date, just a few of the things. We did purchase LED lighting to cover what would have been a phase 2 in the elementary building here. So the 1st and 2nd grade and then some of the periphery rooms, and then also continue on converting classrooms at the high school. We did that, we purchased that so that we could work on that in case we were in a situation like we are now. And Mr. Buchholz and some of the other maintenance guys are starting that process. We're not in session in person over at the other building. They're taking the advantage of that, some of that time to try to convert some of that lighting. We've also got our elementary carpeting purchased for phase 2, and we're going to complete part of that. The plan is to complete part of that during Christmas break. We won't do the first and second grade rooms, but we'll do the special education classroom, the guidance office, and some of the periphery areas, and get those taken care of over break. We would like to, and we're in a position where we need to do some window resealing. We need to, I put north side, it should be east side, I apologize. It should be east side, so that's going to be the 2nd Street side. We want to get that window reseal project done on the east side this year. Miss Rabishki complains about the draft coming through her windows all the time. I don't know that she does, but the windows do need to be resealed. We also have tuck pointing in considerable need there. And we're working with Merwood Construction with Mason that they have that can do that. And that would be spring projects. You'll notice there's some cabinets for the elementary. That's for the 1st and 2nd grade rooms to kind of, again, match what we've been doing in the other places in the building here. Some door replacements. We have art room doors at the middle school, high school. One of the tech ed room doors all need to be replaced. And then we get into the high school carpet and up in the library, which needs a replacement, along with the middle school hallway tile floors and the art room tile floors. So we're planning on doing the library like we did the library in these rooms here. It will be a carpet tile type situation. For the middle school hallway and the art room floors, we've looked at 2 different products. So we don't plan on going with the vinyl plank, and that does not really fit what's going on in that building in terms of aesthetics and other things in that building. So the 2 products we looked at are basically a polished concrete, so pulling the tile and then stripping down and grinding down to the concrete and then doing a polished concrete, or doing an epoxy. We're leaning right now to the polished concrete for a lot of maintenance reasons. You do ultimately have to, that epoxy is okay. Polished concrete actually has a higher slip ratio, meaning there's actually less chance of slipping on polished concrete than there is on the epoxy floors that you see. And it all has to do with surface and contact area. We've gone through this with a couple of different people. We think too the polished concrete look, we can do some different things with that to really blend it to the terrazzo that really is in the rest of the building. It won't look like the terrazzo, but we can at least put it and make it look like that. And it's less of a process in reality. So what you're seeing here covers upstairs, downstairs, all the landings, and the art room in terms of polished concrete, which is a vast amount of space. And then, of course, we have to do asbestos abatement in all of those areas. If we do the high school library, the middle school hallways, and the art rooms, and do it all as one project, the asbestos abatement price is less than breaking that up into individual projects. And that would really take us through this year for projects that we have the ability to do. Again, it leaves us a little bit of breathing space within the budget yet, but gets some of these projects out of the way. You're going to see there's 3 other things. And Carrie, I apologize, I sent you the text, but it didn't go through, so I'll try again. Or I can email you the document later, but I'll try to send you the text. Okay, you did? No, then it did go through. Good. The other 3 projects you see are out of food service, and their surplus would be a replacement of the walk-in cooler, putting AC in the dish room and kitchen at the high school. We are not able to AC the cafeteria under food service dollars. Don't ask me why. It's just what the food service DPI people put out there. And then a dishwasher. Dishwashers. This dishwasher will actually recycle the steam, and it's the new version of the dishwasher. They're really expensive. I was shocked that it was actually more expensive than ACing the dish room and the kitchen. and more expensive than the walk-in cooler. So those are the projects that we have planned at this point. We're looking at doing the small gym roof in the next budget cycle. We're looking at doing some more heating and ventilation work in the next budget cycle. And then doing the final phase of carpet here in the next budget cycle. So, questions?
The kitchen work at the bottom would be done next summer,
It would probably be done spring, summer.
spring, summer.
Yep. Some of this might be able to be done, the AC project actually probably be done anytime. Dishwasher, we could probably pull that off over a break. The walk-in cooler is the one that'll probably have to go early summer, late spring.
You lose the capacity to store food.
Yeah, that's the issue there, so. And again, I've been working with Mr. Neve on this, and we've got, each year we're trying to knock off something in both buildings, and do some things that are pretty major projects, but that haven't been touched in ages. The floor in the middle school is cracked and has all kinds of issues up and down it. It's time. If we strip the wax off of that floor, we would probably have to call the asbestos company to abate it, because those tiles are just going to start coming off the floor. So it's time. That floor needs TLC hard. So.
Gary, you got any questions? No? Okay.
Is there any thought
More questions.
being given to the, at one time I thought we were talking about redesigning some of the exits in this building, the original doors.
That's that's
That's a much more expensive project.
Yeah, that's a $150,000 project, yes. And that's,
And that falls under school safety as well as
Yep.
energy efficiency. So
yep, so those are some things we're looking at.
That's down the road. a ways.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Hearing no other questions, the next item is report on virtual parent-teacher conferences. So Christie.
Our parent-teacher, our parent-teacher conferences, what's it?
Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, that's fine. Are we good?
Yeah.
Leo, do you mind taking over chair?
Hello?
Mailing letters home, sending emails home, to see if there's a different way that we could connect with them that would work for them. Just because it's so important, since we're not seeing parents in person very, very much, we want to make sure that we connect with them somehow. So even if it's just sending a written, portfolio home or something that we can do to make sure that we make connection with each and every parent. I think almost all the kindergartners are done already, because the kindergarten parents are always usually the most excited, as Kathy knows, to see how their kids are doing. But I think we're really close, and like I said, it was nice to have the flexibility for teachers to have several different nights that they could set a schedule up. It wasn't just 2 set nights. They could do it any night this week, and have a bunch of time slots. It made the availability for parents, I think, a little bit easier. So hopefully we'll be back in person next year, but it's also, some things we've learned. It might be an alternative for some parents that can't physically make it here, that it might be an alternative way that we could do parent-teacher conferences in the future. So we're tweaking a few things. We did Google Meet was the way that we did Google Calendar to sign up, and there were some glitches with that. So we're learning, but I think overall it was very successful, and by the end of the week, like I said, hopefully we will have, the majority of our parents will have had a good conference and a good meeting with their teachers. So.
Any approximate figure in terms of percentages, K4? Had a successful contact of some sort?
Well, signed up, I would say right now I have about, there's only a couple per one, I would say it averages 1 to 2 per classroom that they haven't signed up yet, that they're trying to make a contact with. There were a couple that they forgot, so now they're rescheduling, but of those couple that per classroom, we're gonna reach out to them again. So by the end of the week, we'll see where we're at. But pretty successful, and that's usually where we're at with the in-person ones as well. So it's about the same average.
If you've managed to do an almost identical replication of parent contact via Zoom, that you would have had pre-pandemic in person, that's a tribute both to the parents and their concern about their kids and to you and your staff. That's
Yeah.
astounding. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Any other questions for Ms. Frisbee? All right. 6C, report on transition to virtual learning at middle high school. Donna.
Well, my topic changed over the last couple of weeks or days.
Try the last 20 minutes.
Thanks for changing it, Lisa. So, where do I start? The whole year went pretty good. Our first couple months, I mean, I think we're amazed at the building that we were in that deep and that far, and we kind of took every day, started to take it for granted. Like Kyle said, the last week, I think for 2 weekends in a row, I was in there contact tracing, and it was Sunday at the point where we looked at the lists, and we were starting to piecemeal things together, not as great as we wanted to, but we were making it work. At one point, we probably had about a third of the kids out, either on the health log or going virtual, or a third going in and out, and then a third in a seat. And then when we started looking at our staffing, we just weren't as efficient. We weren't sustaining. We just weren't. So when Kyle said that on Sunday, I realized you're right. I mean, it's okay. We were working with the health department real closely, and we were starting to find, and school, I was on my Central Wisconsin conference with the principals today, and they all will say this, and the health department will thank us. School was almost doing the best contact tracing that we could, because we do it overnight. We'd get it done before, 10 o'clock before we went to bed, so the next morning, people that were either needing to be traced or positive or contact of or whatever, they weren't walking in our building. So the health department will say, school's a safe place for them to be, where the health department almost is taking over a week or so, to contact all the people. So like I said, our school was a safe place to be, but we were finding that we were kind of having little slip-ups, like from a family of maybe 4 or 5, one person was positive and the rest were supposed to be quarantined, but then they were a contact of somebody, and so that we were getting multiple dates, and it was getting to be a lot. We were running short substitutes, and the teachers were substituting for our substitutes that were coming in are supposed to be, So yes, on Sunday it was a wise decision. I think we all need a breather. Our rooms are being cleaned. The teachers were kind of panicked on Sunday, because we think back, when I looked at Kyle on Sunday and we talked about this, I thought, please don't tell me this is spring back in the making, and it's not. Monday and Tuesday, all the teachers, I called them on Sunday, or we called them on Sunday, they were up and running, they were a little worried, but we walked around and everybody was, had classes going, kids were on. Materials were picked up Monday through Tuesday, we still have a couple, we're delivering materials. Lisa Moan and her crew had lunches made, and not breakfast for Monday. By noon on Monday, she had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they had everything packed and ready to go. So anybody that wanted food for those 3 days, and then Thursday she'll have another pickup, and they ordered food, they are good to go. I mean, they're getting so good at this. The rooms look phenomenal, because Frank and his group went in the last 2 days and cleaned everything to a T. Materials are picked up. We provided some Wi-Fi hotspots already. A couple families reached out and said, we just can't do this without it. So we've got about 6 of them, not all 6 out yet, but Zooms were established by the teachers. So like I said, Monday and Tuesday we were on already. Teachers emailed me if kids weren't on, and I made phone calls home. So everybody should be up and running. They reviewed. It wasn't like last year. We haven't altered anything. They went through their Zoom processes, and their etiquette. They're still tweaking that a little bit. They're kind of hardcore on that now. It's not like last spring. They're going through their regular curriculum, just on Zoom, using Google as their platform. So we're keeping the regular schedule that the kids have and traditional grades. So we're not changing anything as opposed to last spring. Today we met and just reiterated how, 90-minute block. In fall, we did a CISA meeting. CISA came in and shared with the teachers a good direction to take with 90 minutes with kids. And today Kara and I met with the staff and just reiterated that they shouldn't be lecturing for 90 minutes. And they've been really creative. We've walked around, you know, and they're showing video clips and their discussion, and they're in a breakout room. And then they're, you know, actually, my daughter took a test for 40 minutes on Zoom with the teacher. So they've been doing a phenomenal job, and we're good to go. I mean, I think it was a little overwhelming on Sunday when they realized this is really happening, but we knew it was gonna happen. And so I think they're doing really well. A little more, like I said, a little more hardcore than spring, because we're not modifying a lot. Kids don't have to log on for lunch or study halls unless they have a supervised study hall where they need individual assistance. Our aides have all been assigned with special ed and regular ed. They've all been assigned groups, so they have they go into certain classrooms and then they have certain kids that they meet with individually. That's where we're at.
So the teachers are all in the building.
Teachers are all in the building except for those who are under quarantine right now. So some of us have dropped stuff off and they've got their supplies or whatever they need. So if they're feeling well, they're at home, because like you'd rather have somebody teach a science lab than an English teacher, you know,
Right.
a science teacher. So they're doing their Zooms at home right now. And then when they get out of quarantine, they'll return. Because actually, we had this discussion in our, teachers can fob in and go to their room and be all by themselves all day. So they're safe, you know, we're quarantined, or, you know, isolated by ourselves, not quarantined. Yep, so everybody's in school. So I think everybody's feeling really good, and like I said, a lot different than in spring.
Any other questions for Dawn? Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Did anybody sign up?
No.
I don't believe so. Okay. Move on to the consent agenda. Item 8, consider approval of minutes of the past meetings, October 14th and October 26th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes of past meetings. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Financial reports. Are there gifts?
Yes, we have a few gifts to report from the elementary school. Jan Schrader, once again, has donated a bag of adult and youth face masks. The Conan family donated 32 boxes of pencils. The Froelich family donated 2 grocery bags of art supplies. And Terry Lindholm donated a face mask to every student and staff member.
Wow. That's awesome. And those were the thank yous that we signed
Correct.
at the beginning of the meeting?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Any other questions, discussions regarding that? Not, could I have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. There's no unfinished business. Moving on to new business. Item 10, review of school violence drill, the elementary school.
Yep, that's me again.
Okay?
We had, at the end of October, we had our Alice lockdown drill. Again, just like everything else, it looked a little different this year. And we also, since we couldn't do our normal bus drill where the kids get on the bus, and we asked Officer Abbott and Josiah Murtis came with him as well to kind of work this whole speech into safety. So they talked about bus safety, and then they also talked about the active shooter safety. And what we usually do at the beginning of the year is we don't do the actual drill with kids because I don't like the littles to want to be afraid or think of those things. So we just kind of talk about listening to your teacher, and if your teacher tells you we need to leave, you leave. If your teacher tells you you need to hide, you hide. So they kind of talk through that. And then in the spring when we do it again, then we will do the actual drill where we do the announcement, and then they actually will exit the building or do the hard lockdown. So they went to each classroom and did a talk, age appropriate for the kindergartners all the way through 4th grade, and learned very quickly that once you start asking if there's any questions, you get a lot of questions. But it went very well. So the kids were very receptive to that, and then we also had a little video that the teachers showed later on about bus safety as well that we found on YouTube that was really nice. So So again, we're improvising, but we got our safety drill done, so.
When the officers come to the driver's ed classes, I learned years ago that you don't throw it open to questions. You take the questions in writing ahead of time, you screen the questions, and then you ask the officers the questions. Otherwise, the hand in the back of the room asks how many people they've shot, or some other
Right.
completely unfortunate,
Off the wall,
off the
correct.
cuff remark.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like it went well, very good, thank you. Number 11, designate State Education Convention Board Delegate. Okay,
You probably could push this off again.
yes. Now, explain, I know the convention this year is virtual, nobody's
Right.
going to Milwaukee.
Correct.
So explain to me how this works. We register and then, as I understand it, the sessions are going to be available over the course of an extended period. You can kind of look at them.
You'll be able to, you can either attend them when they're
Right.
live, or they are going to be recorded, so you'll be able to watch them at any time. But we
How is
need to know.
how is the Delegate Assembly going to work? That's
I
gonna
assume
have
that's
to
gonna
be,
be a Zoom
that's
type
gonna have to be a massive Zoom
Zoom,
thing.
that's the way I understand that to
Oh,
be as
that'll
well.
be fun.
So,
My excitement shows no bounds.
I think you could safely push this agenda item off another month.
I agree.
Yes, just push it off again.
I would say, let's,
okay, yeah.
if nobody
Table
has,
this one?
if nobody has an objection, I would, since, you know, poor John is trying to recover, I would not want to have an opportunity here to inflict something additional on him in his absence, so we'll just, if everybody's in concurrence for this, we'll just sort of defer item 11 until the December meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
So move, okay. We don't need a motion for that.
No,
do we?
because this isn't really an action item,
Okay.
so, yeah, you
Right.
can take no action and just move on.
Item 12, consider approval of motion to temporarily suspend policy 0131.1, bylaws and policies.
So the reason we bring this to you is we're gonna, as you're probably aware, the governor's order on face masks and masking expires, as well, the district has no distinct policy other than adopting the governor's policy. So because that in and of itself is kind of it's got, you know, enforcement mechanisms that really aren't there. Not getting into that policy yet, but because that mandate's ending and in working with policy people, we're going to ask for you to do a one read on that policy coming up, and that's the policy we're asking you to suspend right now. That policy itself, we've done this before, allows you to suspend the 2 reading rule.
All right,
So this you would need a motion on.
any questions from anybody? If not, could I ask for a motion to temporarily suspend policy 0131.1?
So moved.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 13, consider approval of a new policy, 8450.01, PPE during pandemic epidemic events.
So this is, so what I brought you is the policy in the raw form, as the policy advisor and I walked through it. And really what it does is, this covers all personal protective equipment, including masking. It covers it for all the following: staff, volunteers, visitors, and students. It allows the district to make rules that would require face coverings and or other personal protective equipment for all of those categories of people within the district. And it does allow for exceptions if there's somebody who's got a health or developmental reason. It also allows us to put some further enforcement in that, where we can ask for a medical, whereas the governor's current mandate does not. And please keep in mind, the governor is making a statewide mandate. This policy covers the school district, regardless of whatever the governor's mandate is. the governor could mandate something more extensive than we would have in place, but we can certainly have something more extensive or less extensive than the governor, well, more extensive than whatever the governor has. This would become policy. This is vetted by legal counsel that's behind the policy advisors. And this would apply during a pandemic or an epidemic that's declared.
When would this take effect if we pass it?
If you pass it, it actually takes effect in policy form immediately. It would then be up to, we would need to write the rules behind that. So from a district perspective, I'd probably need a bit of time to, I wouldn't say a lot of time, but a bit of time to promulgate some rules that would be behind that. And again, we would have the ability to, if it was an extreme situation, and you'll note in here it says what you need to do in the extreme would be consult district's legal counsel. For instance, if somebody was just an absolute, for instance, a student, absolute outright refusal, they're not going to, and yet that's what we need them to do, there would be a mechanism where that student could be switched to virtual. But again, there's some pieces with that where they basically say, make sure you've covered your bases. It's not a disability issue or 10 other things that you've walked through your policy. This allows the district to have its own policy and act independently of the governor, which at the moment, because we've adopted the governor's policy, we can't do. We're bound to that. But this would allow us to independently walk through and then work on it on our own. So, as you look, you're seeing it in the raw form. So this is where the policy advisors come and say, you want this choice or do you want that choice? And so at the moment, I have choices pre-selected in here. If there's something where you want that piece for you versus for a decision maker versus me, you can certainly change that in here in its raw form, where the strike throughs and things are, which is really, I think, at the beginning of this. So, but for the most part, because most of the policies, you've left me with the ability to make the rulemaking side of it. That's how I set this one up.
So the talk, the talk to most of the teams and visitors and things in your district and other things, is everybody pretty much going, it's gonna be pretty much a common thing in all
Yep.
conference, in our conference and division.
Yeah, you're talking about like the
Sports.
later on when we're talking like the sports piece and masking and what. Yes. Yep, that is. In fact, I brought that data. Pretty much everybody's pretty close to the same page on that. Not quite, but close. Yeah. Nuances here and there.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, then I'll move the adoption of policy 8450.01, personal protective equipment during pandemic epidemic events.
Second, was that a motion?
Yes,
Second.
motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 14, consider approval of district guidelines for fan attendance at winter athletic events.
I brought you just that in and of itself because I want you to see that. And again, it is in the update that I sent you. And I apologize, Carrie. I can snap a photo and send it. But it basically reiterates what I sent in the update to you, which is, so that masks, so the fan attendance guidelines at athletic events, if we're able to have those masks worn at all times by players, coaches, and spectators, and each home and visiting player will receive the opportunity to have 2 guests. Visiting rosters need to be shared with us by noon of that day. Fans are checked in by the roster at the door. Visiting teams bring their own basketballs. No locker room access. Games will be live streamed wherever we can, and fan attendance can be limited Even further, at the discretion of school administration, depending on the current status of the pandemic or on the advice of the Wood County Health Department. And Ben, you'd asked how the other schools are doing, and yes, with a few exceptions, this winter, most of the schools are going with this type of policy. Nobody's really, I think there was one school that was going to go with 3 tickets in the conference. That was Manawa. Was going to do that for some middle school events. They hadn't had their varsity things in there. And then I believe it's Pittsville is going with the 2 tickets per athlete. However, if you don't allow fans at your game, they're not going to allow fans at their game where they play you. So that's really the only kicker or differences. I mean, there's a few nuances, but the masks, I think everybody is keeping, and it would be like the paper mask, so it's not something that's easily tear away. So we'd ask your support of the mask or the fan guidelines for the winter events.
So we need a motion for that?
So when you say, quick question, so when you say, so players, is that gonna be brought up again? Is this gonna go all the way through winter sports no matter what? Will this get brought up again, or what?
At the moment, this is where we'd started. I guess if things change or if the situation changes, we could bring it back and amend it. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Any other questions? Questions from the audience?
Can I go, Max, I know you guys played a game the other night and kids wore masks. Can you just make it quick and brief how that went with your youth kids the other night?
Oh, the middle schoolers?
Yes.
Yeah, we went over to Wild Rose and played a game, and all the kids wore masks. Kids were told by the officials beforehand that if your mask comes below, they're basically going to stop the game, and make sure, they're going to be told to put it back on. So we told the kids beforehand, just make sure it's up all the time, and not one kid complained and not one stoppage happened. So they were good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
All right,
I make a motion to approve the district guidelines for fan attendance at the winter athletic events.
Second.
motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried. Item 15, consider approval of continuing Port Edward School District reopening plans fall 2020 for grades 5-12, scheduled virtual days and a limited number of Wednesdays through first semester.
So, and you'll see in the paper I handed you, I had just that brief explanation. So today we ran what we had previously scheduled as a virtual day. We ran it today in our schedule that way, and it actually worked out pretty well. It does give the kids, when we're in the full virtual format, to do the Wednesday schedule a little different. Gives the kids and probably the teachers that opportunity to get off the screen for a little bit midweek. And that's probably a well-deserved and appreciated break for everybody. If we revert back to in-person learning, we'd like to keep with that, and the days that we're proposing are next week, November 18th, December 2nd, 9, and 16, and January 6th. There's a couple of weeks, that week before we go into would be the Christmas break. We just have a Wednesday normal day as we normally do, because that's a short week already. And then the final week of the semester, we're proposing just to be a full week, because it's final week of the semester, and if we have any catch up that we would need to do or whatnot, we would do that then. That would be where we're at the moment, but I think Donna could share with you just a couple of comments about how that's gone.
To be honest, I started prepping this when we first started it, and I think the responses have changed. Our teachers are hard on themselves, I realized, because I did a survey, the first one, and I think they were overwhelmed, like, oh, I have this Wednesday, and I'm gonna get this done and this, and when I did the survey, they were like, oh, I thought I was gonna do this and this, and I think they were overwhelmed and wanted more. But I came back around this last Wednesday, right before we went into virtual, And they gave me a list of things that they feel that they've accomplished. They get, with the virtual learners, a lot of the parents are like, you know, the teacher walks around and sometimes they lose that one-on-one. So they were catching up on that. They said that they're very efficient. They use that afternoon to do grading, so they get their papers and stuff back to the kids quicker than rather than doing it all nights. We were bringing in struggling students. Oh, Max will tell you that, like, they were really doing really well with those kids. So we got to look at that, like, if we want them to come back in one-on-one or individually. The funny thing is, they said that they can work with kids or groups of kids more intimate than at school, because here they're supposed to be 6 feet away. So on Zoom, they can be right there and talking individually. They worked in small groups, easier to hold kids accountable when they're one-on-one. We don't have Black Hawk anymore, so they're kind of using this virtual Wednesdays as Black Hawk. Planning lessons, meeting with colleagues, because that's kind of fall far between with preps and our busy schedules, so they've met and shared ideas, or some team, or teachers team coach, because they teach like a split 6th grade. Just to get a breather for some of them, because some of them are subbing they were subbing every day that they had a prep. They didn't have a prep one day, and then the next day when they had a prep, we were asking them to sub. So kind of on Wednesday, it was just like, I think everybody caught their breath. There was 2 people that said they're hesitant about the Wednesdays. They feel like, again, they're pressuring themselves. They feel like they're not getting all their curriculum done. Like, if they would be in school that day, that would be a whole nother lesson. And that's hard. Like in spring, we had a hard time letting go of that. Like, it's okay. So that was the only, like, no, like, we're falling behind in curriculum or we're losing time with our kids. The really good thing about this Wednesday, because we decided it should be a Monday or Friday, and most of the teachers said no, they love it. They go hard Monday, Tuesday, they get a breather Wednesday, get prepped, and they go hard Thursday, Friday. So they actually love that day. And we didn't like that they were gonna see a kid Monday and then Friday and then Tuesday and Thursday, because we have shared staff here. We had to keep that. It has become a godsend, because now when we have to go back 2 days and trace, when we have Wednesday off, we're not looking at taking out all the kids on Monday and Tuesday that were contacts, because you trace for 2. So if it's a Thursday, Wednesday they're virtual, and it's only 1 day, and that Tuesday is the same as Thursday. And so we're only taking out half of the kids that we might be taking out if we wouldn't have that. So it has worked way to our favor on excluding kids from school.
It's like a long loop and a short loop.
Yeah.
Yep.
And only did we get in the middle of that and figure out, like, hey, this is great, after we started doing it more. So I think and now that we're in virtual, and we talked about it at our staff meeting today, all those 4 days hard on, I think the kids will realize, if I get my work done, if I'm caught up, I can have a little breather on Wednesday afternoon. Because Monday we'll still do those short check-ins, but if you're passing and you're doing really well, they might not request you on Friday, or on Wednesday. So it'll be to the kids' advantage and the teachers' advantage. So it's been wonderful. And most of the districts that I talked to today ended up incorporating something like this too. They didn't start, but they realized it was a needed. So.
Ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Do you feel that, going virtual is tough, do you feel that if we get in virtual for a long time, that we're gonna need a little more time to do some one-on-one with some of the kids? There's some kids that, being that we're gonna do a structured curriculum, it's great, but, the kids, if they get farther behind on virtual, we're gonna end up having to look at more Wednesdays where it's a catch-up day for some of these other kids, so that these teachers can stay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing that.
Like I said, the kids have figured it out. If I get my work done, I'm good to go. Like,
But I worry about the kids, they're gonna, if they get behind,
right.
how are we gonna be able to catch those kids up?
That's what this is,
Yeah.
and she said Max and Bradley attest to some of that. That's what's been vital about having this, is it's helped.
But is there gonna be enough time, the state?
Well, the hard part is, we went virtual this week, so it's new again. But up until now, we were bringing a group of kids, requesting them in. So we had maybe 15, 20, 25 kids a week in. And like, they'd come in for 2-hour segments, so they wouldn't have to go in there short little with all the teachers. they might just go to Max for 2 hours, do 5 assignments, you can go. And now we're gonna have to relook at that because we closed up, school,
Yeah,
and we didn't have them come in. But we might do a both, if we can. Yeah,
Good, because I mean, I heard a lot of positives from them days you brought those kids, and I just worry that we don't want, we don't want anybody to get behind if we can.
Good point. Anything further regarding the virtual days? If not, I'll move that the plan for the listed Wednesdays be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 16, consider approval of extension of accumulated vacation by 90 days for 12-month and 11-month employees.
This only affects a few of our hourly employees, and this year has just been such a strange year. And at the end of the day, actually, after doing some more analysis today, it may only really affect 1 or 2 employees at the end of the day. But with maintenance trying hard to get things done, they just were finding it a little tougher to get their earned and accumulated vacation in. And because they can carry vacation over for 6 months, we were running into a situation where they were carrying over vacation and carrying over vacation. So this was just a way to allow them to maybe have a couple more months to use it. And again, at the end of the day, we may not even need to nobody may need to take advantage of this. Really, probably with the middle school, high school being into virtual has allowed them to catch up from where we originally thought we were going to be.
right.
So I'd ask that you approve it. At the end of the day, I don't know that we're going to need to use it, and it's only for the accumulated, like where their carryover. Just allows them a 3-month extension on the carryover. It would normally expire on January 1.
Obviously,
December
the very last thing you want to do to an already stressed out staff
Right, just tell them they can't
is
speak.
tell them that
Right.
the vacation that they've been accumulating in light of this
Right.
train wreck is now gone because of a clause in a document. This is, no.
Yeah, and again, I think actually most of them are going to be okay at the end of the day, but
Right.
I
That's
move
the
to
very least we
approve,
can do.
I move to approve the extension of the
Second.
vacation.
Motion made and seconded to approve the extension of accumulated vacation by 90 days.
Because it seems like it's.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Opportunity for individual comment. Kathy?
I'd just like to thank the students that raked lawns for Make a Difference Day. I know that means a lot to people in Port Edwards that can't get that done, and it's a great community outreach that our students do.
Gary, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Just really briefly, just to thank the administration and staff for all the hard work that they've done to keep us as much on track as possible. To have the elementary kids still in person is extremely important, I think. It's unfortunate that the high school has to be at home right now, but understand it's only so that we can come back. So just keep up the good work.
Ben?
Follow that with Derek, I think, and my personal goal still is to try to get the kids back in school and get everything going on from school events, any school events that we can get going on that are extra from after 3:30. So that's my goal, I guess, as a board member, to try to find a way to get the kids back here and get events going somewhat normal as we can.
Being off of that, use of your word normal is sort of odd, given the way things have gone for the last 11 months. I don't think anybody is going to be sad to see 2020 leave us in another month and a half. We've come through a very contentious political season, which isn't over yet. We've come through a the first 10 months of a pandemic, which isn't over yet. I'm so proud of the families and the staff and the students of the district that have done so much to try to make this work. I have been astounded by the absence of conflict. There have been very few of those moments. I hope that continues. I hope everybody remains patient and understanding. There are so many things we can be contentious about. And by and large, most of the people I know have worked hard to see that has not happened. It hasn't happened politically, it hasn't happened pandemic-wise, it hasn't happened educationally. And it makes me proud to be a part of the community and the district. Thanks to all of you. Good job. Number 18, establish future board meetings. Regular meeting is set for Wednesday, December 9th with an executive session at 5 and a business meeting at 5:30. Our January meeting would be the second Wednesday,
January 13th.
January 13th.
And just a note on that, and this was for our district clerk, Carrie, because it would be the 13th. You actually have to draw lots for the election all by yourself and not in front of the board on the 12th. So, because of the deadline date for the lot drawing, and that's fine. We can do it right, well, not by yourself, you get to do it in the district office.
Well, if we don't have any running.
Yeah, so the lots for the election, you gotta come to the district office on the 12th and draw those.
Which seat is up?
John's.
John's seat is open.
Yep, I do.
Yeah, so we have one open seat.
We have one open seat. So.
Yeah, normally we do that at a board meeting, but because of how the board meeting falls, we have to do it the day before the board
Now,
meeting.
if no one would they have to still, we still have to do?
I think you still actually, well, no, probably if nobody else, but I'm not sure. We'll have to look at that.
I would interject at this point for the viewing audience that, I mean, the last thing anybody wants to hear about right now is more politics, but the spring elections in April, if you are interested in a seat in local government on a village board, a town board, a school board, those seats are up in the April election, and you have to file nomination papers or go through the process to express an interest before it's first Tuesday in January, right?
Yep.
Correct. So if you've not had your fill of national politics in the last 15 months, and you'd like to take a stab at local politics, here's your chance, folks. We always encourage people to be participants in how their communities are run. You never get to talk to your congressman, your senator, or your president, but your town board member, your village board member, your school board member, under ordinary circumstances, would be sitting next to you in church, would be next to you in the checkout line at the store, parked next to you at the ball game. We interface with you all the time, and this is where things really get done, and I would encourage more people to participate in the process. Thank you. Number 19. Conduct initial exchange of proposals for the 2021 agreement between the Port Edwards Board of Education and the Port Edwards Education Association.
Yeah, read through the rest.
You want me to read the entire document? Okay.
Yeah.
Following the initial exchange, the parties may caucus and or go into closed session pursuant to sections 19.86 and 111.70 sub 4 sub CM sub 2 Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of exchanging initial proposals with the Port Edwards Education Association for negotiations over a 2020-2021 collective bargaining agreement covering total base wages for employees of the Port Edwards Education Association bargaining unit.
So, wait, would, at this point, I mean, if you've got anything for the board, and Jen and Marissa, I don't know if you want to both just be up here. And,
Yeah.
And I can get you things too. Just so everybody has what we are over.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Marissa, you don't have that one more.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, let's see. So the base rate this year is 1.81, and just at least in looking at the proposals, and I think we know that that's what the base, that's the CPI rate, and that's where it's at. And by my read, at least it looks like we're at the same exact point, so, in proposals. The one thing that we have in our proposal this year is a minor bump into the starting base. It's been at 41,500 for the past few years, and it's time to probably start moving that up. We're still in good position compared to our neighbors there, but I know there's been movement amongst our neighbors in the last couple of years too, so a $250 addition onto that is what the board has in its proposal. So, and Carrie, I'm going to try to snap a photo of both proposals and send them to you. But they are, Carrie, for your benefit, they are essentially the same proposal of the 1.81. That would be essentially evenly divided and prorated where it has to be prorated. So.
Does anyone feel the need to go into any sort of closed session to continue? Do you wish to caucus? Do we need to do any further discussion on this? Okay.
No, I guess you would verbally decide whether or not everybody is in genuine agreement, and then at that you would close negotiation session if that's the case, and then we can vote on that back in regular session.
Great. Any comment? Any additional, anything anybody wants to say? Or are we set? Okay. Very well, then I'll close the discussion concerning the proposals and reconvene into regular session. And we don't need a motion to return to open session since we were not closed.
You should return, because you were in a negotiation session, you should roll call vote to return to regular
Okay,
open
so
session.
I need a roll call for that.
Yep.
All right. Ask for a motion to return to open session, please.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and second to return to open session. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I guess we need a roll call. Ben?
Here?
Leo? Aye. Kathy?
Aye.
Gary?
Here.
Okay. We are back in open session. Item 21, discussion and potential action to approve the 2020-2021 collective bargaining agreement between the Port Edwards School District and the Port Edwards Education Association.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, so
I
moved.
motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, the motion's been made, a second?
Second.
Brenda seconded it. To apply the 1.81 allowed amount among the representative employees per both proposals. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 22. Consider approval of 2020-2021 compensation plans. Based on the discussion held in closed session earlier this evening, I would ask for a motion that the board take appropriate action regarding the support staff, administrative support, administration, and supplementary compensation for our discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any additional comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. I will call for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.